Hello, dear learners. After discussing the consumption and investment function, now it's time to discuss about the concept of aggregate demand. What is aggregate demand? Aggregate demand means the total expenditure planned to be incurred on final goods and services, or it means the total demand for final goods in an economy during an accounting year. AD is also defined as total amount of money which all the sectors, that is households, firms and government, are ready to spend on purchase of goods and services produced in an economy during a given period. Please remember that it's a total ex ante demand which all the consumers are willing to do during an accounting year. It's a planned expenditure. Now, as far as the components of AD are concerned, as we are dealing in our course of study with the Keynesian model, so it emphasizes only of two sectors economy. Though the components of AD are like this, as it has been written over here, AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Now, what is the meaning of C over here? C is the household consumption expenditure or total private expenditure. It is defined as value of goods and services that households are able and willing to buy. Then second one is I. I stands for investment expenditure, which is private investment demand. It refers to planned ex ante expenditure on creation of new capital assets like machines, buildings, and raw material by private entrepreneurs. The relationship between investment demand and rate of interest is called investment demand function. Remember when we were discussing about the investment function, there was a negative relationship between rate of interest and investment. Investment is of two type, that autonomous investment and induced investment. Autonomous investment means an investment which is independent from the level of income. An induced investment means it has a positive relation from the level of income. As the income rises, the level of investment will also be rises. Then G. G stands for government demand for goods and services. It refers to the government planned or ex ante expenditure on purchase of consumer and capital goods to fulfill common needs of the society. Government performs so many functions for the welfare of the people. Say, for example, building roads, construction of bridges, etc. So that kind of expenditure will termed under the government final expenditure. And the last component is net exports, which is nothing but the difference between exports and imports. Then I or investment curve becomes the horizontally parallel to OY axis, which means investment is autonomous and it is independent from the level of income. However, I bar or I prime undergoes periodic fluctuations. Though we have assumed that investment is autonomous, which means that it does not depend on income, but investment may increase at lower rate of interest, or it depends upon the certain factors like the availability of credit, the rate of interest, etc. But in our course of study, we assumes that investment remains constant. Then AD curve is parallel to the consumption curve. Why it is parallel to the consumption curve? Because since they have the same slope, that is MPC, marginal propensity to consume. This is because in our case of study, we are taking only two sectors economic model, where AD is equal to C plus I, where I remains constant irrespective of the level of income. So AD rises only with the rise in consumption. So the slope of the aggregate demand curve remains the same as that of the consumption curve. AD curve has a positive slope, which means when income increases, AD or expenditure also increases. AD curve does not originate from origin, even at zero level of income. Why does so? Because even at zero level of income, there is some kind of minimum consumption to fulfill the basic needs of the consumer. So some minimum level of consumption is essential. That is why AD curve does not originate from the zero. Now we can better be understand from the given schedule that in first column the level of income is given 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 and 120 and so on. Then in second column we measure the consumption, that is 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 and 50. Investment remains constant, 10 at each level. Now AD, as you know, that is it is the combination of C plus I. So at zero level of income it is 30. Then when the level of income is 40, it is 40. And when level of income is 60, it is 45. From this point of time, savings takes place. Even when y is equal to 0, AD is rupees 30 crore because some minimum expenditure is always required. Now we can understand this AD curve with the help of this diagram. Here in the figure you can understand that we measure the level of income on OX axis and we are measuring the level of AD or value of AD, that is the combination of C plus I on OY axis. So as you can see that I curve or the investment curve is horizontally parallel to X axis, which remains constant at each level of income. So it is independent from the level of income. It remains 10 at the all level of income. Then the income line, that is Y, is 45-degree line. Why it is 45-degree line? Because it is the value of total quantity of final goods and services produced in the economic territory of a country. It refers to ex ante or planned aggregate output in the economy. It is equal to the national income and is represented by a 45-degree line from origin because at every point on it, AS is equal to Y. Or on each and every point on this line, there is a equidistance from the OY axis as well as OX axis. And here we see the aggregate demand curve. Aggregate demand curve is pretty similar to the consumption curve as we have seen in our previous videos, the consumption curve. So aggregate demand means consumption plus investment. We have also mentioned that the slope of AD curve is quite similar to the consumption curve. Why it is quite similar? Because I remains constant irrespective of the level of income. So AD rises only with the rise in consumption. So the slope of the aggregate demand curve remains the same as that of the consumption curve. Now we are moving about the aggregate supply. Aggregate demand has been done. Now we are moving towards the aggregate supply. Now what is aggregate supply? It is the value of total quantity of final goods and services produced in the economic territory of a country. Or in simple words, we can understand like this, that it is the money value of total final goods and services which the producers are ready to sell, which the producers, or it is the final value of output produced within the domestic territory of a country or within the territory of a economic territory of a country. It is also called as national income or net national product at factor cost. Now, as far as the components of aggregate supply is concerned, so total income either can be consumed or can be saved. So it is the combination of C plus S, as we have discussed during the saving functions. The two main components of national income or output are consumption expenditure and savings. So AS or Y is equal to C plus S. The aggregate supply curve, which is a 45-degree line, positively sloping line from the origin. It is also called a guideline. Every point on the AS curve is equidistant, as I mentioned earlier, from the x-axis and the y-axis, implying that total income is equal to total expenditure or spending, that is C plus S. Now, for better understanding, we can refer the schedule. In the first column, the various level of income are given 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 and 120. Then consumption 20, 25, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Then savings. As we know that savings means Y minus C. So 0 minus 20 becomes minus 20. 20 minus 25 becomes minus 5. 40 minus 40 means 0. Here consumption is exactly equals to the level of income. Then it is called the break-even point, as we have discussed while we were dealing with the consumption function. Then when income becomes 60, consumption is 45. So 15 is the amount of savings, 60 minus 45. Then when income is 80, consumption is 50. So 80 minus 50, saving becomes 30. Then at the level of 100, it becomes 45. And at the level of 120, it becomes 60. So as the income keeps on increasing, the level of savings will also be increases. So saving has a positive relationship from the level of income. Then while calculating AS is nothing but it is the combination of consumption plus savings, or AS can also be termed as national income or Y. So that is why we write it as AS is equal to Y. At the zero level of income it is 0 because C plus S plus 20 minus 20 it becomes 0. Then 25 plus minus 5 it becomes 20, and 40 plus 0 becomes 40, 45 plus 15 it becomes 60, and 50 plus 30 it becomes 80, and 55 plus 45 becomes 100, and 60 plus 60 it becomes 120. This is how we calculate the aggregate supply from the given information of income, consumption, and savings. Now we will understand this concept with the help of the aggregate supply curve. Now, as we have mentioned earlier, that aggregate supply curve is of 45-degree line. Why it is of 45-degree line? Because it is having the equal distance from the OX and OY. And at each and every point, the AS is equal to Y, or aggregate supply is equal to national income. So this is what the aggregate supply and aggregate demand is all about. Hope you all have understand this very basic and elementary concepts. Dear learners, the concepts of aggregate demand and aggregate supply will be highly beneficial while we will be calculating the equilibrium level of output, or what we called as determination of income, output, and employment. Because at that point where these two will intersect each other, that is the AD curve intersect the AS curve, on that point of level, there will be the economic equilibrium, or we will determine the income, output, and employment. This we will take in our next class. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much.